Okay, I should just start, right? Hello, students. Welcome to the UTME 2025 Use of English class. And today's topic would be morphemes. Okay, so let's now grammatically, morpheme refers to the smallest, the smallest, and the simplest, the smallest, and the simplest unit of a language. Unit of a language. Okay, so now morpheme refers to the smallest. Please be mindful of this keyword: the smallest and the simplest unit of a language. And what do we mean by this? Now, if you look at grammatical structure, you would realize that the morpheme is the least, all right, among words, phrases, clauses, and sentences. All right. Bear in mind that the sentence is the highest grammatical unit, while the morpheme is the smallest and the simplest unit of a language, or the simplest grammatical unit. I hope this is clear to you. So now, morpheme helps in word formation. Do you understand? So we have morpheme helps, morphemes referring to just one aspect. We'll probably make it just plural. Morphemes help in word formation. Okay, word formation in a language. Okay, so here, morphemes help in word formation in a language, basically. And morpheme plays a great role in the formation of words. So morpheme helps to indicate past tense, helps to indicate, do you understand, the plural form. It helps to make changes in the word classes of different word elements. For example, you could use morpheme to change a word from an adjective to an adverb. You could also use morpheme to change a word from present tense to past tense. That's the word formation processes that morpheme does. Now, let's proceed. The grammatical units, the grammatical units, the grammatical units are, you have the sentence being the highest, okay? Now, followed by clauses, then followed by phrases, then followed by morphemes. Let's have word first, followed by words, and then followed by morphemes. Now, what does this simply mean? Now, here, the group of morphemes, a group of morphemes will form words, okay? Now, group of words will form phrases, which is otherwise known as groups. Now, a group of phrases will form clauses, and a group of clauses will form sentences, okay? So that's to tell you that sentence is the highest grammatical unit, while the morpheme is the smallest or the least of the grammatical units. So our major concentration will be on this aspect. All right. As time progresses, we would also look at words, we'll look at phrases, we'll look at clauses, and we'll look at sentences. Do you understand? Now, when considering words, we'll look at the denotative type of word and the connotative type of words. Do you understand? And when considering phrases, we'll look at the different types of phrases that we have in English language. The same with clauses. We'll also examine different types of clauses. And then sentences, we'll look at the structural type of sentence and the functional type of sentences. Okay, now remember we said that morpheme refers to the smallest and the simplest unit of a language. Okay, now morphemes help in word formation in a language. All right, and then we have the grammatical units, which are beginning with the morpheme. All right, so morpheme could basically be just a letter. All right, and to a large extent, a group of letters. Now that forms words, and words forms phrases, and of course phrases form clauses, and clauses will definitely form sentences. There are two types. There are two types of morphemes. There are two types of morphemes. Okay, so the first aspect is called the free morpheme. It's called the free morphemes. All right. So another word for a free morpheme is known as the base morpheme or the root morpheme. Do you understand? Now, this is a morpheme that is capable of standing on its own. That is a morpheme that could produce meaning. A morpheme that is independent. That's a free morpheme. Do you understand? Now, let's take the definition. This is a morpheme that is independent, independent. It can stand to make meaning. Do you understand? It can actually stand to make meaning. It's an independent morpheme. It does not require any form of attachment to reproduce meaning. It is meaning making. So we can have that it is meaning making. All right. That's a free morpheme. Okay. This is otherwise called, this is otherwise called a bound, sorry, it's otherwise called a base or root morpheme. Do you understand? So you can otherwise call it a bound, a base, or a root morpheme. So let's take an example. So here we have BOY, GIRL, CAR. We can have give. Let's have give. We can have book. We can have buy, and so on. So these are examples of free morphemes. They are independent words. That is, and yeah, free morphemes will definitely have lexical entries. What do I mean by that? For example, free morphemes can be searched, can be looked upon in the dictionary. That means you can look upon such words in the dictionary. For example, look at boy, girl, car, give, book, buy, and the rest of them. So you can basically search for most of these words and you'll find them in the dictionary because they are free morpheme. They are independent words. They are meaning making. Meaning making in the sense that when someone tells you give, all right, the word give itself is productive. It makes a whole lot of sense. You're being commanded to do something. That's the essence of the free morpheme. Imagine book, buy. Okay. Now remember that some can be a verb, some can as well be a noun. So depending on the occasion. So these are free morphemes. Free morphemes. I hope this is clear, class. Now number two, we have the bound morphemes. Bound morphemes. We have the bound morphemes. Okay. Now remember that the bound morphemes are basically the opposite of free morphemes. Do you understand? So the bound morphemes are the opposite of free morphemes. That is, these are words that are not capable of replicating a meaning. These are words that could not produce meaning by themselves. They basically depend on the free morpheme for their meaning making. These are words that cannot stand on their own to produce or make meaning. They are called bound morphemes. Are we good now? They are called bound morphemes. These are letters. These are letters that cannot. These are letters that cannot produce meanings by themselves. Rather, they depend. They depend on. Rather, they depend on the free morphemes for the actualization of meanings. So they basically depend on the free morphemes in order to actualize meaning. Bound morphemes are not meaning making. They're not capable of producing meaning. Rather, all bound morphemes would depend on the free morphemes for the actualization of meaning. So, as I said, these are letters that cannot produce meaning by themselves. Rather, they depend on free morphemes. So, in other words, they are not they are not meaning making. They are not meaning making. They are not meaning making in themselves. And let's look at examples of these bound morphemes. So let's get examples. So in this case, we can have letter S, you can have letter ES. Do you understand? You can have letter IES, you can have letter IVES, you can even have letter VES. Do you understand? You can have letter ED and so on. Do you understand? These are bound morphemes. Can you see that each of the examples cannot produce any meaning at all? They cannot produce any meaning. They will practically depend on the free morpheme until and unless I attach a free morpheme to any of these bound morphemes. They will not and they cannot produce a meaning. Do you understand? So now that takes us to okay, let's provide the full representation of this bound morpheme. So here, the first one I can have boys. Okay. The second one I can have churches, for instance. The third one I can have babies. Okay. Last one I can have wives, possible, or knife. Let me make it plural knives. I can have played, then so on like that. So now let's try to demystify. I've been able to form actual words for each of these bound morphemes. So let's try to demystify their meaning. So here we have an example that's BOY plus S. So what happens? The BOY is the free morpheme, while the S is the bound morpheme. Okay. Next one, churches. Church plus ES. So the church is the free morpheme. The ES is the what? That's the bound morpheme. I hope you're getting the point, class. The next one, babies. Let me use this part. BABIES. Okay. Now let me make it here. Remember, plus what? ES. So remember that this Y will change to I. I hope you understand. And then we'll add ES to it to make it plural. Now, here, this is free morpheme, and this is what? Bound morphemes. So wives, WIVES. So in this case, so no, the main word will be WIFE plus what? Plus VES. So this is singular, remember? Yes. The free morpheme will be in singular state, in singular form. So here I have free, and then here I have bound morpheme. Remember that the F will change to V, and then you add ES to make it plural. Next one, knives. Okay, can you see? That's the root word then. You have VES to make it plural. So this is the free morpheme, and this is the bound morpheme. Now the last one, this is played. Okay, play plus ed. This is the free morpheme, and this is the bound morpheme. Okay, I hope this is clear, class. So this is the basic explanation to both free and bound morphemes. To both free and bound morphemes. Okay. Now, the bound morphemes can be subdivided into two, and these are the derivative morphemes and the inflectionary morphemes. Now let's take a look at that. So here, there are two types of bound morphemes. There are two types of bound morphemes. Okay, so the first one is the derivational morpheme. Okay, and the second one is called inflectionary, inflectional morpheme rather, inflectional morpheme. So derivational morpheme and inflectional morpheme. Now, let's start with a derivational morpheme. So a derivational morpheme is the type that changes in word classes, as a result of the addition, of letters. A derivational morpheme is a type that changes in word classes. Please, your attention should be in word classes or parts of speech as a result of the addition of letters. That is, the more you keep adding letters, the more you keep making changes in the letters, all right, it must reflect in the word classes, the parts of speech. For example, probably changing adjective to an adverb or changing a noun to an adjective. Do you understand? There will definitely be changes in the word class. So the major attention for a derivational morpheme is the change in the word class as a result of the addition of letters. So the more you keep compounding letters to the word, what happens is that what it will take different changes, new derivation in terms of the word class. So you tend to, like, from the word derivational morphemes, you tend to derive new word class, new words as a result of the letters that you're adding to them. Those are derivational morphemes. And we're going to take examples to that. Okay, let's take examples. So here we have play as a noun. I can change it to played as a verb. What happens? Because I added the letter ed to the word play, I've been able to change it to what? From a noun to a verb. Let me give another one. Active, okay, which is what? An adjective. So actively, which is what? An adverb. This is an adverb. Sorry. Yeah, you see, an adverb. What happens? This is a result of what? Ly added to it that made the whole difference. We can have other words. Prosper, which is a verb. Okay. Prosperous, which is an adjective. Prosperity, can you see? Which is a noun. So take a look at this. What happens? Now, this is basically the word itself. So what was added here? You can have OUS. Okay. What was added here? You realize that ITY was added. So the more you add the letters to each of these words, what would happen is that it will give you a different word entirely.